Hi everyone, it's Meredith with Soul Navigation, your evolutionary astrologer. And today we're going to go a little bit off the beaten track. I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. We're going to go in a little different direction and we're going to get a little bit out of bounds. So don't punish me too hard for this video. I'm going to give you the top 3 most likely zodiac signs to become a serial killer. Now, that comes with a huge caveat, but after that, I'm going to give you the 10, and there's far more than that, but I'm going to give you the 10 chart signatures that would most likely develop a serial killer, just so you can know, are you involved with one? Are you involved with a deviant serial killer? Well, we're going to find out the chart signatures of some famous serial killers, just so you can look for these erratic patterns in your partner's chart, because we certainly know you're not one. So can you guess the top 3? Can you even guess? Okay, in 3rd place, I will give it to you. It's a tie. Dun, dun, dun. Who do you think it's with? Scorpio and Sagittarius take the tie with 43 serial killers. Now, let me tell you where I got my statistics. I did research this, and this is serial killers from all around the world, not just American serial killers, and this is of all time. This is an FBI list of serial killers from around the world from, I don't know, even the 1500s. There's a famous serial killer, Countess Dracula, and that brings me to number 2. Does anybody know what sun sign the Countess Dracula was? Well, she is in the number 2 group of most likely to become serial killers, and I found this to be quite shocking. But this is real data. This isn't actually my opinion. This is real data. And yes, it is, dun dun dun, Leo. Can you believe that? Leo is the number 2 serial killer in the world, with having actually 46 serial killers listed, and the number 1 serial killer zodiac sign. Can you even believe this? Are you guys ready? Do you have any idea? Can you guess below? Leave me a comment. Leave me a comment. Play with me. Who do you think it is? It was really shell-shocking to me. And again, this is real data. This is not my opinion. 55 serial killers listed with this zodiac sign. They take the cake and they win the trophy for the sign with the most serial killers. Oh my gosh, comment below. It's Capricorn. Can you believe that? Capricorn is the number 1 serial killer listed worldwide over the course of hundreds and hundreds of years. So Capricorn, Leo, and tied for 3rd place, Scorpio and Sagittarius with 43 serial killers listed. Here's where I want to get really serious with you, okay? And by the way, I pray to God this is not the first time we have ever met. Please tell me that you already know me from my other content. This is really an anomaly, so I don't do videos like this. I never have, actually. Please go watch my other videos and get to know me. But I want to tell you, this video is going to be really exciting because you're going to get to see what deviant behavior looks like, what out of bounds aggression looks like, what emotional instability looks like, and I'm going to take you into the chart signatures of the deviant minds. So you can see, do you have one, or do you know someone who does? So get out your chart and come explore with me. The first thing that I want to say is zodiac signs do not create serial killers. And I genuinely mean that. I wholeheartedly mean that. I know that the psyche of a murderer has been made over many, many years, and there's many, many factors, including having been victimized in their own childhood, having been a victim of neglect or abuse or hurtfulness or heartlessness or trauma or violence or drug abuse or drug addiction in childhood. And I believe that becoming a serial killer has more to do with culture and having maybe a genetic disposition to mental illness than it does have anything to do with your zodiac sign. However, saying that, you can see a predisposition in the astrological chart for delusional, erratic, unstable, difficult challenges, difficult times in some charts. And that in combination with a neglectful, abusive, and traumatic childhood can be a really potent indicator to someone who deviates from their higher self. And I'm going to give you the chart signature for somebody who can really cut off from their higher self and who is seduced into crime and a life of abnormalities and maybe even a life of killing. You know, it's dangerous to think that all Capricorns, Leos, Sagittariuses, and Scorpios are going to end up being serial killers. Like, I don't even think like that. Also, if you really want to look at numbers, so with those serial killers, the Capricorns, the Leos, and then even if you add Scorpios and Sagittariuses, that was only 184 people. So out of 7 billion people in the world, that's not very many, right? Yeah, there's 7 billion people on the planet right now. So 184 is not that many. Keep that into perspective. But what I would like to do is I'd like to show you the truth, kind of the darker side of angry energy, energy that is so angry that it could possibly even kill. It's not going to be found truthfully in a sun sign, but it's far more likely to be found in an aspect. So I'm going to show you those aspects. It's going to be kind of exciting. And I want you to stay tuned to the end, because at the very end, I'm going to show you some charts that show you how these aspects show up in some famous serial killers that you already probably know. So we're going to talk about the 10 different aspects, and there's far more than that that are likely to create this really angry energy. Now, not everyone who has these aspects, even I have some of these aspects, are not going to be killers, but they're certainly going to have to learn about anger in this lifetime, anger management, how to control their anger, how to tamp down their anger, how to find peacefulness when they don't get their way. They're going to have to learn about, and they're going to get karmic lessons, people who have these aspects, about taking the higher road and not succumbing to revenge. And they're going to have to learn how to emotionally and mentally mature and become wise. They're going to have to learn about controlling that temper of theirs. And they're going to have to learn about the art of compromise. They're going to have to learn how to overcome a deep sense of inadequacy, probably, and also learn the art of ego management. Yeah, serial killers haven't learned those lessons. They either have too big or too small of an ego. They have to learn to accept their weaknesses. And this is massive, massive lessons for these people who will have these chart signatures and these aspects. But those serial killers, if you will, who didn't want to learn their lessons, embraced a life of deception and lies and power struggles and even killing. So, okay. First of all, I have to say, if you don't have your gorgeous natal chart, please, please, please go over to Soul Navigation and go get your gorgeous natal chart so you can follow along in all of my videos. I make it so easy for you. You'll see a couple here at the end, what they look like. You get to see what out of balance planets you have, and I have a little cheat sheet for you. They're super beautiful. I designed them myself. You will love, love, love them. You can't really understand the aspects if you don't have your chart, and I want you to have your chart so you can peel your onion. Okay, so here are the 10 aspects that create the possibility of this kind of deviancy. If you see these in the chart that you're looking at, because you want to know, are you involved with a serial killer? Just remember that these people who have these aspects are here to learn a maturity at a very deep soul level. And it doesn't really mean that you're a serial killer. So these aspects can also create a real greatness in a human being when these aspects are used for the good and not for the evil. For example, Martin Luther King has quite a few of these hard aspects that I'll be talking about. And look at some of the blessings that that man brought into this world. Now, it wasn't without challenge, and it wasn't without great maturity. Like, he had to really mature, stand into the wisdom of his soul, and stand in the highest self of who he is. And when he did that, he created incredible, incredible greatness. When we're looking to see if you're involved with a serial killer, we have to look at Pluto, Mars, Uranus, Neptune, and the South Node, and also the moon. And what are they doing in the chart? What are they doing with each other? What dance are they having with one another? How are they commingling, if you will? So tip number 1, does the chart that you are looking at, maybe your partner's chart, maybe your chart, but does the chart that you're looking at have one of these aspects? We're talking about Mars. Is Mars in hard aspect to the moon? So is it square? Is it opposite? Or is it conjunct? Okay. Squares are going to be in the same modality. So squares are created with cardinal signs. So if you are a Cancer, the other 2 cardinal signs are Capricorn and Aries. Now, if you have one of my gorgeous charts, you will see the cardinal signs, you will see the mutable signs, and you will see the fixed signs. Is Mars in hard aspect to Uranus? Hard aspect is square, opposite, or conjunct. Why is a conjunction called hard? Because Uranus and Mars don't work well together when they're just right next to each other. It creates tension. So a square is that same modality. So fixed, if you have a fixed Mars and you have Uranus in another fixed sign, that's a square. If you have it in a cardinal sign and Uranus is in a cardinal sign, that's a square. And if you have it in a mutable sign and Uranus is in a mutable sign, that's a square between those two planets. You know what oppositions are, and you know that a conjunction is when they're sitting right in the same spot within 10 degrees. You want to take at least 10-degree orbs. So 10 degrees before and 10 degrees after. Wherever your Mars is, if your Mars is at 10 degrees, then you're going to look at anything between 0 degrees and 20 degrees, and that creates an aspect. So let me give you an example. If you have Mars in Cancer at 10 degrees, well, you know that Cancer is a cardinal sign. So if you have Uranus in either Aries or in Capricorn, and if your Mars in Cancer is at 10 degrees, your Uranus has to be between the degrees of 0 degrees and 10 degrees and 20. So between 0 and 20 degrees in either sign of Aries or in Capricorn. I hope that that makes sense. Please let me know if you're getting it. I want to know if you're getting it because the orbs matter. So also if you have Mars in hard aspect to the south node, so that would be square, opposition, or conjunction. And if you have Mars in hard aspect to Neptune, again, that would be square, opposition, but I don't necessarily consider the conjunction to be a hard aspect with Neptune because it's soft. Neptune creates illusions and delusions. And so oftentimes serial killers who have a Neptune-Mars aspect, they don't even know that they're doing something really heinous and horrifying. They disassociate with themselves. They also sometimes feels like the person kind of deserves it. They're not in their right mind. They're not in their right body. They're not in their right energy. So tip number 2, does the chart that you're looking at have one of these aspects? Pluto squaring Venus, that creates obsessive love and that creates intense jealousy. Pluto in hard or challenging aspect. So that's a square, that's an opposition, and that's a conjunction to Mars. Pluto in hard aspect, square, opposition, or conjunction to the moon. Or Pluto in hard aspect to the south node. That one's a biggie. And that would also be a square, an opposition, and a conjunction. Tip number 3, does the chart that you're looking at have one of these aspects? We're going to talk about Uranus. Is Uranus in hard aspect to both Pluto and Mars? Is it in hard aspect to the moon? Or is it in hard aspect to the south node? Tip number 4, tip or technique or trick, whatever you want to call it. And I hope you're learning. And this is probably going really fast for you. So when this video is over, start over at the beginning and take down these notes and look for, hunt and peck for these aspects. And if you have one of my charts, you'll see it in the grid, the aspect grid below the circle. Tip number 4, Neptune. Is Neptune in hard aspect to Pluto and Mars? Or is Neptune in hard aspect to the south node? Now, hard aspect does not mean conjunction with Neptune. It means an opposition or a square. And Neptune in hard aspect to both Pluto and Mars would be an opposition or a square. Now, if you guys are getting a little bit overwhelmed because it's a ton of information, and I love my community here because you guys like to go deep and you guys are smart enough to learn this and you guys want to learn this. And I love that. I really highly recommend, I can't recommend it enough, to get a reading with somebody on Team Soul Navigation. Just go over to soulnavigation.com and book a 30-minute reading or book a recorded reading where someone on my team, you'll see all the people there and you'll get to select somebody, can actually read the chart for you and can help you. So at least they can launch you into learning more about your chart and yourself, showing you the different aspects and elements in your chart. I mean, it's like years of therapy in a bottle. It's really powerful and amazing. Okay, tip number 5. Are you ready for this one? It's a little bit different. But is your chart a mega mutable chart? Lots of planets in Sagittarius, Gemini, and Virgo, all of them, or just 1 or 2 of those signs? But I would say if you have more than 60%, so more than 6 planets, 6 or more in mutable signs, that's a lot. And mutable signs, I found out when I did my research around serial killers, there are more mutable signs, even though we had Capricorn, which is a cardinal sign, Leo, which is a fixed, and Scorpio, which is fixed. And then there was Sagittarius tied with Scorpio, which was mutable. But a lot of serial killers have a ton of mutability in their chart, even though their sun sign was maybe fixed or cardinal. I think it's because mutable signs are chameleons. They can wear the role. They can become different energies, and they can kind of hide themselves. Tip number 6, Is the chart that you're looking at have a Gemini or Aquarius moon in the 12th house or in the 8th house? And is that moon in hard aspect to Pluto, Uranus, the South Node, Mars, or all of them? So that's a biggie. So it's not just a Gemini or Aquarius moon, and it's not just a Gemini or Aquarius moon in the 12th or 8th house. If those are in happy aspect to Venus and to Jupiter, that's going to be lovely. But are they in a challenging aspect to Pluto, Uranus, the South Node, Mars, maybe even Saturn, maybe even the Sun? I might even consider that too. The Saturn and the Sun would be maybes. So if you had a bunch of these things going on with that, that would be concerning. Tip number 7 is the chart that you're looking at. Does it have a highly unstable and exaggerated moon? A lot of serial killers have emotions that they can't control. They cannot handle not getting their way. They have emotional outbursts that make them really manic, like high highs and low lows, giant mood swings, giant personalities around the emotions that they feel, very erratic. And so an unstable or exaggerated moon would look like the moon conjunct Jupiter in hard aspect, opposite or square to Mars, the Sun, the ascendant, or Pluto? Or is your moon out of bounds and in hard aspect to those same planets, Mars, Pluto, Uranus, even the Sun or the ascendant? So where's your moon at? And is it really unstable? Is your moon in Gemini in the 3rd house, conjunct Uranus, squaring Mars and opposing Pluto? Or, that would just be crazy, right? Like, that person has serious emotional management to work on. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a serial killer, but it does say that they've got really big, erratic, unsteady, unstable emotions that they have to learn how to get calm and serene with. So if you have a lot of these, again, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a serial killer. Maybe you're the next Martin Luther King. It does say that there's lessons around really learning to manage your energy, manage your moon, manage your Mars, manage your emotions. So tip number 8, do you have 3 or more planets in the 12th or the 8th house? Especially, do you have Neptune, Pluto, Venus, or Mars? 3 of those. Just one isn't really going to cut it. But if you have 3 of those in the 12th or the 8th, that's pretty deep. That's pretty intense. Tip number 9, do you have an out of bounds Mars? And is your out of bounds Mars in hard aspect to the moon, to Neptune, to Pluto, or Uranus? Now, how do you know if you have an out of bounds Mars? Well, in my chart, I have the declination. And in the table that says declinations, it's long and skinny, and it's on the bottom right-hand side of my chart. It says DECL. If you've got any planets that are more than 23 degrees, 27 minutes, then that planet is out of bounds. So do you have an out of bounds Venus? Do you have an out of bounds Mars, Moon, Mercury, Uranus? The only planet you're never going to have out of bounds is the Sun. That brings me to, have you guys gotten your solar return report? You need your solar return report, especially around the time of your birthday. Like a month or 2 right before your birthday is the time. It's like the mandatory time that you have to get your solar return report. So you can order one over at soulnavigation.com. Just click on the shop tab and go get your solar return report. It is so incredible. Some of them are about 70 pages long, and it's all about what's in store for you at the deepest karmic level for this year. It's not transits. It's who are you growing into? What are the major themes in your life? Also, I have to say, thank you, super supporters. Oh my God, I love you. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, or if you haven't become a super supporter and you want to, please do just click the join button and come see all my behind the scenes videos. And you get so many perks. In the notes section, you can go check out the link and the video, and you'll see everything that you get. You get your starter package, you get a year's forecast. It's really exciting. So come support my channel. It helps my business so much, and it's the reason why I can do these videos. So I wanted to say thank you. Okay, we're going to get into charts here in a minute, but tip number 10, are you ready? Does the chart that you're looking at have Mercury, Mars, Uranus, or Pluto squaring or opposing the ascendant? Yeah. This can create self-loathing, deep, deep, deep self-loathing. And sometimes I even say, does the chart that you're looking at have Pluto, Mars, and Uranus conjunct the ascendant? Now, sometimes I've known a person who had Pluto, Mars, and Uranus conjunct the ascendant. He by no means was a serial killer. He did have somebody who got shot fall and collapse and die in his arms. So he did experience death in one of the most gruesome ways imaginable and was traumatized for life over that. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to look at Ted Bundy's chart. I'm just going to show you these real quickly. So Ted was this handsome and charming Sagittarius. He murdered women that looked like his ex-girlfriend, and she looked like his mother. And he was like a revenge killer. Look at his aspects. He had Mars conjunct his moon. He had Uranus opposing his moon. He had numerous mutable planets, all this Sagittarius. He had Saturn conjunct Pluto in the 12th. And then for advanced students on my channel, if you will, subscribers and super supporters, he also had that square to Jupiter. And when you have Jupiter in the mix, it makes everything bigger, everything exaggerated. So he had Saturn conjunct Pluto in the 12th, squaring Jupiter. So it made that Saturn conjunct Pluto really, really big. So he also had Pluto square Venus and Jupiter, which again creates those exaggerated feelings there. So Pluto squaring Venus, it's almost like cutting off or severing love, right? And with Jupiter there, he would do this in an exaggerated way. Then also, he had Mercury and Venus square the ascendant. Honestly, he was so insecure with Mercury squaring the ascendant. It's almost like he felt put down or belittled. Okay, let's look at the gruesome and the disgusting Jeffrey Dahmer. So here we have a Gemini, another mutable, and he has the Sun square Pluto. We didn't talk about Sun square Pluto, but I would put it in here because there's like a death of self. And Moon square Saturn. So he felt like unloved. I think he was tortured and traumatized as a little boy himself. And Mars is squaring Saturn, but it's wide, and it's a tiny bit wider than that 10 degrees that I give, but I'm giving it to him. And he had the moon conjunct Mars. Again, it's wide, but the moon and Mars don't really get along. They don't really want to be conjunct. They don't go well together. The Mars is too harsh for the moon. And Neptune square Uranus. This guy was weird, Uranus, and Neptune delusional. And his delusions are not getting along with his weirdness. So his delusions make him more weird, and his weirdness makes him more delusional, and they go in a loop. For advanced learners, I want to say the chart ruler Venus here is in the 8th house. And look at, he has a stellium. That means more than 3 planets in the 8th, and they're all square to Uranus. So that's for advanced learners. And if you can't follow that, don't feel bad. Just watch as many of my videos as you can and get one of my charts, because you'll be able to eventually learn all this. Also, I just can't recommend enough, and it's not very expensive, to just go get a reading from one of my incredible, incredible readers here on my channel at soulnavigation.com. You can go pick out your person and they'll help you. And it's so exciting to just unravel your ball of yarn. And I really do hope this is not the very first time we're meeting each other. Let's look at Gary Ridgway. This will be my last chart for you. And here we have an Aquarius, a fixed sign, but look at the emphasis that is on the 8th and the 12th houses. Big emphasis. Also, the moon is square Pluto. That's sort of like the death of the heart. And then Mars is opposing Saturn. So he has a power struggle and he wants to dominate. And he loved finding women who nobody would care about, finding prostitutes or low-level women that nobody would notice that they were gone. Well, he was wrong. And then also he has Pluto opposing the ascendant and opposing Venus. And so that's death of love and death of self in a way. And then he had the sun opposing Saturn. So he had real power struggles in his life. So one of the things that I really looked at when I studied all these serial killers and how sick they were is I really realized that they had a lot of these chart signatures. I'll tell you, every single one of them came from a very messed up childhood, a very messed up life where there was deep abuse, and they were victims of somebody else's torture and crime. They became pathological. So again, I want to tell you that when you're born with a chart, you are not born evil. Nobody it comes into this world with just evil in their chart and evil in their heart. That is created and manifested over time and over sickness, like somebody treating you in a sickening way. And then the chart has you thwart your power. Your power is thwarted, or your power is metamorphosed into a deviant way. And so all of these aspects that I was talking about, again, it does not make you a serial killer, but it gives you a certain power, a desire for power, a hunger for power, that when your pathology isn't operating in a healthy way, it goes askance, it goes askew, it becomes deviant, it becomes corrupted. it becomes corroded. Some of these aspects are really, really power aspects. When they show up in a serial killer, their power aspects gone wrong. So it's sort of like, I like to give the example of Conor McGregor, the boxer, the famous boxer, who, I don't know, threw the chair, into the bus window. It's kind of like that. Like, here he is, this man with all this power, and somebody royally pissed him off when he did that. And then he just took a chair. He couldn't control his anger, right? He couldn't manage it. It was bigger than his own body. And his Mars, his Uranus, his Pluto got the best of him. And he took that chair, I think it was, and he smashed it through that bus window. Do you remember that? And then he resented it and regretted it later. But that's like energy that has gone askance. He didn't have to do that. He can be a great role model, and in many ways he is, but he went off the rails. Well, these serial killers have gone completely bonkers, and they have gone off the rails, and they have taken that power energy inside their chart, and it's gotten thwarted and twisted and sick and deviant and, like I said, corrupted. I'd love to hear your comments. I hope not too many people hate me for this video. And I promise to do a little lighter subject my next time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. I'm here every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, for my premiere videos here at Soul Navigation. Book a reading, get a chart, and thank you so much for supporting my business, and become a super supporter. From my home to yours, I hope you're wonderful. Take good care.